Okay, it is 6 p.m. I will call the May meeting of the East Peoria Zoning Board of Appeals meeting, call to order. First part of agenda is roll call.
Driscoll.
Here.
Whitman.
Here.
Rieker.
Here.
Bershears.
Here.
Bruner.
Here.
Kelly.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Excellent. Next order of business is the approval of the minutes from the meeting held on April 13th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll make a motion
to approve it.
Thank you, George. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tim Kelly. And now, our public hearing, We'll move on to the first and only case of the night, and that's case V-2026-008, and that's the petition of David Sonderman and Heather Crawford for a variance to permit a 5-foot chain link fence in a front yard on property located at 104 Wright Lane. Property ID number is 010134204018. Would the petitioner approach the podium, please?
I'm David Sonderman. I'm the contractor for Signature Builders Brogan Fence that put in the application. This is Heather's husband, Mr. Crawford, who is attending with me.
Okay. Well, will you both approach the podium then for me? Yeah. And go ahead and state your names again.
David Sonderman.
Thank you.
Justin Crawford.
Justin Crawford. Okay. Gentlemen, will you raise your right hands for me? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Okay, go ahead and explain to the board what you want to do with the fence.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys got drawing or whatever in front of you. We're looking to bring the fence up the sides of the driveway with a double drive gate across the end of the driveway. The Crawfords are having a lot of trouble with delivery drivers going down that road and then trying to back into their driveway to turn around, and they're destroying both sides of the driveway by not being able to do this. We're looking for 5 foot because they also have a German Shepherd dog that if he's out in that part of the yard with them, a 4 foot's just not going to cut it. We're just requesting chain link, no visibility issues to block anything. It's not on a corner. There's no traffic that's going to be blocked by putting this fence and doing this gate here. Mm-hmm. It's just to protect their property from damage by others.
Questions for these two? Tim?
I have no questions.
Michael?
No questions.
John?
No questions.
Joel?
No questions.
George?
No question except for Ty. How do they figure the setback on that? Because there's like no curbs or nothing, so.
So we refer to GIS. I mean, that would give an approximation. I think as long as they're off the back of the pavement there.
We were looking to be about 4 feet off of the paved road portion. Yes. Was our plan to put the fence.
Okay. That's all I have.
What does our ordinance normally allow for height?
So, and that's where this seems very minor. It was 4 feet is the allowed for chain link. And this is a bit of a unique situation. And the right lane is not a heavily traveled, but as I point out, you get these delivery drivers that they see beyond this property that, there's gravel parking lot down there at the end.
Right.
They try turning around right there. So I can appreciate the goal for the fence, but because it's taller than that 4 feet and it's in the front yard, it does trigger the variance request.
Because 4 feet seems like nothing for a German Shepherd, and then I'm going to say, well, I don't know that 5 feet seems like anything for a German Shepherd.
5 foot now, he can't get over it.
Yeah, the 5 foot is what we have in the side
Okay.
and backyard of that same property currently.
Okay.
And it does keep him in.
Okay,
You're not
so
going to get any bigger.
okay, and you've at least had some experience with the
Yes.
dog and that
Yes.
fence. I didn't
Yeah.
notice that other fence. Okay, I have no
And
questions.
ultimately, those delivery drivers, if they went to the end of Wright Lane, you can go right through that business and up the road right next to it that goes by those other two businesses. It's completely open for them to not.
Right. I believe I did.
Yeah, Pafco is.
Yeah, I didn't turn around. Okay, I have no further questions. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, you guys can have a seat.
Okay.
And is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the zoning board on this particular case? Seeing no one, we will move along with deliberations. Okay. So So this is deliberations for case V-2026-008, the petition for a 5-foot fence at 104 Wright Lane. First question, will a significant hardship result to the owner if strict letter of the regulations are carried out given the particular physical surroundings, shape, or topographical conditions of the property?
Yes. Yeah.
Is it an inconvenience to the property owner to follow the regulations of the ordinance?
Yes. Yep.
Is the variance requested based upon the uniqueness of the property?
Yes.
Is the variance based exclusively on the desire to make more money out of the property?
No.
Will the variance be injurious to the other property or improvements in the neighborhood?
No.
Has the alleged difficulty or hardship been created by any person or persons presently having an interest in the property and thus self-imposed?
No.
Will the proposed variation impair the adequate supply of light and/or air to adjacent property?
No.
Will the proposed variation increase the congestion of the public street?
No.
Will the proposed variation create additional traffic safety problems?
No.
Will the proposed variation increase the danger of fire to adjacent structures?
No.
Will the proposed variance substantially diminish or impair property values within the immediate neighborhood?
No.
Will the variance be detrimental to or endanger the public health, safety, morals, comfort, or general welfare?
No.
Would the variance request be generally applicable to other properties within the immediate zone or immediate area?
No. No. Maybe, I don't know. Not it.
Okay. Any discussion or thoughts, or do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve case V-2026-008 as presented.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Tim and Michael.
Roll call. Driscoll.
Yes.
Whitman.
Yes.
Reeker.
Yes.
Brashears.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
All voting in favor. So that item's approved. You can come in and get your permit. We have a permit already on file.
It's been applied for.
Okay.
I did the paperwork. I
Yep.
don't think we've completed everything yet.
We'll get that in the process for you, so
Okay.
you're good to move forward.
Perfect, thank you guys so much. You know, as a contractor, I have been to this meeting and probably every municipality around here. I'm going to give you props that you are the smoothest, most organized ever to do these meetings and get through one of these variances. I appreciate that.
I hope that was loud enough that everybody watching this meeting live or recording hears you say that. We appreciate the compliment. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, thank you guys.
Yes, have a
great
good
day.
rest of your evening. Thank you. Okay, any old business? None. How about some new business? Ty, you got something for us?
We have some new business for the group. So Brad and I met with the Planning Commission last month and started discussing comprehensive plan recommendations and things associated with that. And so there's a couple of items we wanted to take in front of this group and get your feedback. This is not something that we're going to act upon tonight. The thought was to get your feedback, pull that together with the Planning Commission, and then come back at a later date with more specific recommendations. The first item that we discussed with them had to do, since one of our core focus areas was Richland, was taking a look at the zoning that's available down there. A couple of different options exist for that. One is to convert all of the single-family housing, so all of the R2 zone properties right now, because everything's M3 down there, which is this hybrid that creates a lot of challenges with neighboring properties, because you can have, in theory, a industrial zone property or use property right next to a single-family residence. The thought is could you go down there and eliminate that M3 and convert the properties that are residentially used to R3? That would give them a little more flexibility. That would allow them to go to duplex, potentially a little more where you're adjacent to a commercial use. It gives you more flexibility. You can go to a little denser development. And then we'd convert the others to M1 that are down there. The other option, and this was something that the Planning Commission expressed some interest in, is an overlay district plan, similar to what we've done in the Four Corners and the Levy District. Those are designed to either preserve or to establish a character in the neighborhood. It could provide a little more flexibility, where you could say, you know, those properties that aren't or that are used residentially can be used maybe up to even a more dense usage, maybe up to a 5-row townhome or something like that, and then anything beyond that would require a special use. There's some options here. The plan takes a little more time to get implemented. We don't have restrictive covenant control like we have here in the levy district, which gives you a little more control, but I think the goal here is flexibility. That, what we've heard, in fact, we have a resident that approached us here a couple of months ago that would like to convert one of the existing homes to a duplex. They'd have to follow building codes, but I'm not sure that there aren't others down there that would like to do something similar. And for years, we've told them, no, you can only use it as a single-family house. That's not to say there aren't some duplexes and triplexes that exist down there, but by and large, those are non-conforming.
Yeah, I will say that also during our comprehensive planning effort, we did hear from some of the residents down there that they did think that like row housing would be more tolerable than like an apartment, like kind of more of a traditional apartment building. So just something to throw out. I specifically remember when we engaged that group specifically, that was one thing that I remember the feedback was.
Yeah, so we're open to any feedback, whether you want to discuss it this evening or if you want to get back to us. Certainly would welcome any input.
So the commercial/industrial buildings that are there, and we've had a petitioner from one or two of them, they just sort of get grandfathered in under the M1?
We'd likely make them M1.
M1, okay.
Yeah. And I guess one of the things to consider is if we look at, if we're going to make zoning more restrictive, then that requires a broader, a more specific notice. If we're going to make it more flexible, and the point with that would be, it's really not practical to maybe send notices to every single property owner down there, that if there's an opportunity to provide more flexibility, we don't necessarily have to do that. The overlay district plan gives you a broader reach as well, too, once again, designed to give more flexibility. We wouldn't want to hem in, somebody that's already performing some task, we wouldn't want to limit their ability to continue doing that. But a lot of what you see down there are exceptions, but a lot of it is the industrial users are kind of around the periphery of the neighborhood. There are some there on Edmond that we'd want to take a look at and see what makes sense, but something other than that kind of hybrid zoning that leaves the door open for these disparate uses.
Do you think allowing some of these homeowners to turn a home into a duplex would make the structures nicer? Or-
Potentially, because if they're going to have to bring them up to code, then
yeah.
certainly, the access and that sort of thing, ensuring that they have proper egress windows, those items would have to be addressed.
Right.
And there may be some that say, well, I'm not able to do that. But you look for, incremental improvements. Certainly look for, if you're going to have a duplex, that they have hardwired smoke and CO detectors, that those aren't necessarily given, in the older neighborhood. So it would certainly open the door for some incremental improvements to those properties.
Anybody have any thoughts? It looks like a no.
Okay, well,
I don't mind the plan. I mean, it seems like, I agree with Brad. The residents said, we don't want a big old apartment building.
Right.
But we could do row houses, we could do a fourplex maybe. I mean, they were, definitely interested in filling the empty lots with more, living structures.
yeah.
And I can make a joke here, but, if they wanted a Dollar General down there, or a little convenience store of
Right.
some kind, it wouldn't hurt. I mean, I think the neighborhood would probably appreciate it.
The overlay plan would certainly open the door for that. I think the question becomes, what's the viability of something like that, especially when you have all the services that we have here very close by at the levy district.
Right.
Maybe it's a laundromat, maybe that's a possibility that, right now, the current zoning would make that very difficult. We can look at specific areas that kind of carve out, but we can come back with some recommendations and let you all kind of chew on those and see what you think. Because ultimately, the goal would be to take this, also share with the Planning Commission, but then take it on to City Council for their feedback. But one of the comprehensive plan efforts was to look at opportunities to improve that overall Richland neighborhood. Another one that relates to increasing density would be accessory dwelling units. And that was another one that came up, and we see it happening in other communities. It's something new for here. We have, some properties that already have something like that. We had that case last month up on Springfield Road where they had an ADU that was a converted garage. Historically, we have not permitted those. We've had a couple of exceptions that have come through as a special use. There was a carriage house that came through probably 15 years ago, but it was a neighborhood that had pretty generous lot sizes, and I think they had acquired an adjacent lot, so there was plenty of room to do something like that. So, but you see more of that, whether it's a detached structure or sometimes an attached structure, and it's sometimes being used for generational, multi-generational living, to have, the grandparents or the parents living in the same home or adjacent on the same property. I think the trick is if you open the door for these to occur, whether it's special use or what have you, is that we don't have the ability to control who's in there. That we can say, yeah, it's for the grandparents, but if the grandparents decide, look, we don't want to live that close to our kids, or something changes,
Right.
they can rent it out. And that's, sometimes there's a concern about, how do you manage that, and does that fit in every neighborhood?
So if we kept them as special use, we'd be able to examine them on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah.
So I've been in quite a few neighborhoods where they have the single-family homes, and then they have like a duplex or quads, and I have another family home.
Right.
Some of them look very well, and other ones, you can tell the landlords didn't keep them up.
Right.
So you got this nice family home,
Right.
and then you got this duplex that looks like God knows what.
Yeah.
They don't.
Right.
I mean, the hope, and once again, this is something that we can't regulate. The hope is you've got a homeowner that lives in the house, and then they've got
Right.
somebody that's a renter or a family member that's living in that ADU. So there's maybe a little stronger commitment to maintenance. But that's, unfortunately what code enforcement ends up trying to pick up if there isn't, that's not being done. And I wouldn't say that that's always the case. I think that is, you would hope that that's the exception, not the rule.
Oh, right. It's not always the case.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
seen it.
I mean, I had a neighbor who still has 2 little cabins in the backyard, but the main house is owner occupied. And I think that helps if the owner didn't occupy the main house and rented out all 3 units, then I think that's where you're getting to George's point about maintenance and that sort of thing.
Right. And if you go through the special use process, as a condition of
Right.
the special use could be the property owner must live in one of the units on site, whether it's the ADU or whether it's so that would be an option. I mean,
Yeah.
then there's a little bit more teeth in it to
I
ensure.
like having a little bit of control like
Yeah.
that.
Like,
Ty, does the city have a rental database where you control?
we do not. We have a vacant and foreclosed property program. At one time, talked about a rental registration program. It is fairly labor intensive.
Sure.
If the goal is to put eyes on property once every so many years, that gets to be where you almost have to have a kind of a inspector dedicated to that sort
Yep.
of
Right.
thing. Because some you're going to see a lot more often, they're going to have issues, and there's others that, once every 5 years is plenty.
Right. That possible way to relieve kind of the
Yeah.
issues that we're talking about here. You
Have a
the
rental
ADU,
registration.
Yeah.
Catching all this? Here, I'm typing away over here. And then the last item that we talked to the Planning Commission about that we thought we'd get your input on isn't specifically a recommendation on the comprehensive plan, but one that, as we went through the process, struck us as maybe it's something worth taking a look at. And that has to do with, we have 3 single-family zoning districts. So our default zoning district when we bring in property is conservation, which is a little misnamed in its own right because you're not conserving property, it's just very large lot sizes. But it's a single-family zoning district. And then you have R1, which is single-family zoning district, and then you have R2. And I think the goal at one point was to eliminate R2 and go to R1, which has a little wider width requirement. Instead of 60 feet frontage, it requires 75. But what we've seen, and while we have not seen a tremendous amount of platting in recent years, is that most developers try to figure out how to do something on the 60-foot width. You know, unless you're going for a larger, more expensive home, which anymore most homes are expensive. I don't hear too many builders say they can construct something for much less than $300,000 for a typical single-family home. And then we also have, the other change that's been made more recently is now we have an R5 zoning, which is focused on senior living facilities. So we have quite a spread of residential zoning. The question here would be, is there value, is there benefit to reduce the amount of single-family zoning that we have? I know some communities have taken that a step further, and they eliminate single-family zoning altogether, and they say, we're going to call this residential, and you're allowed up to a certain density, whether it's just up to a duplex, up to a triplex. That might be something we get to at some point in time. That might not be well received. We had a zoning case some years ago where the neighbors were very concerned about a duplex going into a single-family neighborhood. And the reality is probably a good portion of that neighborhood was already rental property, so it wasn't bringing something that wasn't already there, but the perception was the duplex introduced something that was different.
Michael, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, this is really your area of expertise, more so than any of the rest of us.
Zoning is not my area of expertise, actually.
Well, but planning and communities and that sort of thing, I don't know.
Yeah. My thoughts are, with the prices of homes, why restrict and go to just an R1 when you can have a smaller lot, an R2, right? Because you can build a much cheaper home, potentially. And even go maybe even further for even a smaller, like tiny kind of home type of a feel.
Yeah, the pushback you get a lot of times with the tiny homes are, what's it going to do to neighboring property values?
Sure.
How small is too small? I think, R2 is 850, but I mean, which is a relatively modest home by today's standards.
Right.
900, okay. So 900, and then you got 1,100 for R1, 1,200. Yeah, so you go to a bigger. Now, what we saw up until about 15 years ago is that, the smaller house was 1,600 square feet, and the larger homes were going, over 2,000. Once again, we're not seeing a lot of development pressure right now for single-family housing.
Yeah. I guess my thought is, if you can go to R1 and get rid of R2, but maybe allow those smaller lots, maybe it would be a special use. Yeah, that way you're not getting rid of that opportunity to build, a cheaper home, if that's what somebody wants to do. Yeah.
So smaller lot, smaller house?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only concern I have is just to keep the conservation,
Yeah.
so that if we move forward or we have anybody that comes back and wants the chicken thing, that they still are following the conservation zoning guideline.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think you can certainly make the case that there are smaller lots, and whether you've had, a demolition that's occurred or something like that, that to be able to do a footprint that's a little smaller than maybe even 900 square feet wouldn't be a bad thing, and would certainly fit within the character of the neighborhood. I think that if you have a neighborhood of 2,000 square foot ranches, for somebody to come in and say, oh, I got this one remaining lot, I want to drop in a 400 square foot tiny home, might get the neighbors riled up. And it wouldn't certainly fit the character of the neighborhood.
Right.
Okay. I think that is all we've got this evening for the group. We'll come back with some specific recommendations, maybe something we bounce off of you in advance, but the goal would be to bring back, proposed code changes that would be something you can digest and give us your recommendation or look for changes, and then we'll take it on to council.
Next item on the agenda is the citizens' opportunity to address the zoning board of appeals on a non-agenda item. Seeing no one, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting for the evening.
Thank you, Tim. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Michael. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this meeting has been adjourned until the June meeting. Thank you all.